What's up, everybody? I am back with a new movie review, and today I'm covering the recent Predator film, Badlands, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who's been on this massive high recently with all the Predator films, with Prey a few years ago, and now this year with Killer of Killers, which I thoroughly enjoy, and of course Badlands, which was my most anticipated movie of this year, because I'm a big fan of the Predator franchise, especially if it's done well. So I was definitely looking forward to it, and despite the initial reviews, I still wanted to see it for myself. So I went out to the theater and actually went and checked it out. So before I give my thoughts, please like the video, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of Predator Badlands. Like I said, it's directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who's clearly a massive Predator fan. And some people pointed out there was some Easter eggs from old Dark Horse comics that I'm not privy to, that if you're a diehard Predator fan, you probably would have spotted them right away. So, this stars Demetrius Schuster, Colin Motangi. I believe he's New Zealand. Yeah, he's from New Zealand. Who plays the Predator named Deck, the runt outcast of the Predators, known as the Yautja. Which there are some people who really don't care for, actually giving a name to these this alien race, but I'm not one of those people. I actually do care. I like knowing like certain lore. See, this is one of the reasons why I have like chaotic lore series, because I'm kind of infatuated with certain backstories of a well-crafted world. He also voices Deck's father, Nojor. Mike Humek plays Kuei, his older brother. Stefan Groot voices Kuei, and Mike does the practical acting. We got Allison Wright, who voices Mother, an AI representative of Weyland Yutani. Eli Fanning does a dual role as Thea, the damaged synthetic that we see prowling around in the trailers of this film. And she also plays this other robot that looks exactly like her, named Tessa, who is like the main villain. And people pointing out there's been like a crazy, gimmick in Hollywood in the past, like this year and maybe like the past, year or so, where there's people playing dual roles, like the girl from Acolyte, and then Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, and yeah, there's been like quite a few. Must be something in the air. I'm not sure. So I have my personal thoughts, but I want to cover like the main story really quick. So the movie begins on Yautja Prime, the Predator's homeland, and I give Dan credit for this. When he did like this movie and Killer of Killers, he doesn't want to give like a specific timeline of when this. I mean, outside of setting in certain periods in history. Outside of that, he doesn't want to let you know what the present day or the future date of when the main story is setting, because he doesn't pigeonhole himself into a corner, which I think is very smart. So that way you can do, it gives you room to do whatever in any present day setting. And after the ending of Killer of Killers, because he really wants to bring back Arnold Schwarzenegger's character Dutch, can't really utilize Danny Glover because he's really gotten too old for this shit. So, but at the end of Killer of Killers, we see Naru from Prey, Dutch from Predator, and Mike Harrigan from Predator 2. Now, if you play like Predator Hunting Grounds, I think it was like an MMO game, there's Easter eggs telling the story about Isabella, who was from Predators, and she managed to make it back to Earth. I did like a reaction video to that, so you can check it out on my channel. So she managed to make it back to Earth. I'm just curious if they can like rope her back in some kind of way, because a lot of people really want, and I think as crappy as The Predators was, there was an idea, not to quote Nick Fury here, but because he tends to listen to the fans, and as he stated, he wanted to bring back Dutch in some capacity. There was an idea to try to get all the past heroes who defeated their own Predators and kind of rope them in some kind of Avengers kind of style to try to take on these creatures, because yeah, that kind of makes sense, because all these different periods, at least I'm not sure if the main two survivors of Killer of Killers, the Japanese samurai and the WW2 vet, air pilot vet, or even like the Viking lady, will make some kind of on-screen return, live action, but because Predators tend to keep people in suspended animation and to release them later, like you see in Predators, to try to hunt them because they're like the best. It'd be cool to also get Adrian Brody, if he managed to survive, because reports say like he technically did, but it's kind of left ambiguous. But try to get them all together. It's like, look, clearly these people have been, this alien race has been hunting humanity for ages. Each one of us managed to take one down. I mean, Agent Brody technically, well, he didn't do it by himself. He had help, but the people he was around, end up sacrificing themselves, so only like him and Isabella left. But it'd be cool to have some kind of Avenger style thing with all the survivors from past films come together, and like, matter of fact, I know like Danny Glover is really old, and even though Arnold does acting from time to time, but he's no spring chicken either. Even though he looks great for his age, you can't have him doing the same things he was in the first Predator film. So I don't mind it if it's still live action, but I won't hate on it either if they choose to go with the animation route like Killer of Killers, because that way you can get, it's like feasible to get them all together and doing all the wild stuff, because they were like the most successful ones. And it's like, okay, we got to put a stop to these creatures because they'll just keep doing it. We need to take the fight to them in some capacity. That's what I think like the Predators was trying to set up, but they failed miserably. But there's a nugget of a good idea there where it's like, okay, clearly like the government, at least some shadow government, understands these things exist, because the Predators did not anticipate that over time things starting to stack up, and humans will start doing pattern recognitions. Uh, but yeah, like I'll be down for it. And clearly, this movie is trying to set up a new Alien versus Predator, and probably do it right because there's a new Alien type of TV show that's apparently doing well. I like the first two Alien films a lot, but I haven't. Well, I watched Alien 3, but after that, Aliens was never really my cup of tea. I've seen Alien versus the first two Alien versus Predators. The first one was, over time we like adjusted to saying like it's okay. It's very mid, or below average. But two was incredibly terrible. And the Predators is probably even worse. And I think Dan Trachtenberg knows that, and it's like, okay, we're ignoring the Predators and Alien versus Predator 2. Those don't count. It's completely ignore those. And as much people might grab about the first Alien vs. Predator film, I think because they set it up in the comics as well as Predator 2, so that is still canon. But I think Dan wants to make sure it's done right this time. Oh, speaking of Alien vs. Predator, Sanaa Lathan, you can possibly rope her back in. She wasn't terrible from what I remember, but that is like a solid idea. I gotta, kind of trailing off here in a ramble. Probably should have did this on a TikTok or something like that. But yeah, I mean, like, this clearly was something, like two things Dan's clearly setting up. A new Alien versus Predator thing, but doing it right, and possibly gathering together the survivors from past Alien films in order to try to take the fight head on to these things and nip this in the bud, because this alien culture. How can you defeat a culture? Because they spend many years, well, long before Earth was, fully like sentient with, caveman life. They've been doing this for a long time, so it's hard pressed to try to neutralize this way of life they have. Like, even if they manage to kill like the main leader of the predator culture, they will still, regroup or something, or even take it as like a new challenge. So I'm not even sure how you can like completely stop this, unless you, I don't know, systematically eradicate, like a full-on genocide of this culture, which, given their advanced weaponry, and their skills as warriors, I doubt that would be easy. But that's just my take. Anyway, getting off, track here. So, this young predator named Deck is being trained by his older brother. He's pretty much like a new blood, trying to prep him for this next stage to be like a full-on true blue predator where he can earn his stripes, essentially. And the predator culture is ruthless, given the fact that he really want to prove himself by going to this hostile planet named Genna that all other predators even fear their tread, to try to hunt the most dangerous predator there, called the Callus, which is deemed unkillable. But he decides, like, I want to prove myself, to prove myself to Father. That's when Father showed up, and it's like, I'm not having any of this. Their culture, completely wipes out any weaklings amongst their tribe. And considering that Deck isn't like the, like I said, he's kind of like diminutive by comparison to other predator races. they need like like the kind of like Spartans. They need like the best of the best. They can't like have any weakness at all. Even things like sympathy or empathy is like, well, they have an honor code. Don't kill like unarmed individuals, pregnant women, children, elderly. It is like, okay, they're off limits because they cannot, or the the sick, they cannot. It's not a fair fight. They cannot fundamentally fight back, so it wouldn't be like worthy of your energy. So don't bother. That is like a hard fast rule that they, a vast majority of them, except for like the kind of like really crazy ones, which they, any predator breaks these laws are immediately kind of eradicated. But by and large, they follow this strictly. So Najar tells Kuwei to kill Dek because he is weak. I can't have that in our clan. Of course, Kuwei, which is kind of unbecoming to predator culture. If you know at least some degree about predator culture, this is rare that they, because they were having a problem even killing their own, even if they, well, if they don't follow the strict traditions. His brother shows empathy, which his father deemed a weakness. He gets his brother inside the ship and have it set to the destination of Genna to find the Kalas, bring back its head as a trophy to earn his father's respect and worthiness. In doing so, he ends up getting brutally killed by his own father. And kudos to the CGI department, because the facial expressions on Dek is like pretty good. So he ends up on Genna and immediately gets attacked. Matter of fact, this is kind of like a video game where you have all these tools and they immediately get taken away by all this flora and fauna that's coming alive to try to attack him. So he probably just, he just has his blade. I think a bow, which I think he only used a couple of times. So he makes his way past these exploding, needle flowers, where he comes across a synthetic from Weyland-Yutani. Like I said, they, kudos that, Dan resisted the temptation of leaving some kind of alien Easter egg. The Weyland-Yutani is more than enough. Because, if you know anything about the Alien franchise, they're the primary bad guys. Aside from the, xenomorphs. In order to avoid getting eaten, he sends out this bladed disc for Thea to cut herself loose and manages to crawl her way to kill that bird before it eats Dek. I like Eli Fanning. I like Dakota Fanning too. Where it is, there's a movie they're gonna be in together for the first time as sisters. Is one of those kind of like period drama kind of things. I think I'm not sure. It's not something I would watch. But initially, I think this is a common feeling with a lot of people. At first, Thea is kind of annoying. She is very chatty, and not in a fun Deadpool kind of way. She just asking, it's kind of like a child asking you like 1,000,000,001 questions. But before Act 1 ends, that you get past it, because I guess maybe it helps that Dek is kind of engaging. Of course, initially Dek doesn't want to be partnered with anybody because Predator's supposed to be able to hunt alone, but he gets around it by convincing himself, oh, you're just a tool, and predators use tools, so you know this won't be considered a team up. So he straps her to his back and make his way because she says her team was attacked by the Callus, is why she's got ripped up. So she's helping him find the Callus so he can claim the trophy. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel 100%. I don't think I mind all too much of seeing subtitles with not Kuwait, Deck talking. I think because some people say like they should have gone with the Han and Chewie thing with Thea and Deck, where we can just inference what he's saying by certain responses Thea is doing. I think that would have been a good way to go. However, I'm not hating on it either that we see actual like dialogue subtitles from him. 1 second. So like I'm okay with it personally, but I can see why people say like they should have done the Han and Chewie thing, because that, or like a R2D2 Luke thing where he's just like given his expressions and body language, we can just try to just understand him, vocal performances, etc. But it's fine. I'm not hating on it. I could have gone either way with it. But this is the part where one of the main issues people are having, where because this is PG-13 rated. I think this is the first PG-13 rated Predator film outside of maybe like the Alien vs. Predator, I think. And reason being because there's no humans at all in this. There's only synthetics. So they have milky blood, so of course you can get away with certain carnage. But they also kind of Disney-fied this because they eventually get like a quirky little animal sidekick, and it's kind of like, I mean, it served a purpose. It's not just there to be a new Olaf or like a Grogu kind of situation. No, there is like a major purpose to this alien monkey thing. And I love the design of this world because like they even treat grass as hostile, because there's a certain patch of grass that is just razor sharp like glass. That was pretty cool. There's like there's some thought put into this planet, kind of like Hoth or Coruscant. And of course Deck is hungry, so they hunt this armored rhino thing. Thanks to the help of this like monkey thing, he managed to save it, kill this rhino thing, and in return this parasitic thing in the trees tries to eat Deck and Thea, but the blue monkey thing has like an armored shell that is so tough that it breaks this thing's tooth. So Deck kills the thing, and now we got like a cool animal sidekick for like a few minutes. Deck, tells his backstory about what happened to his brother and why he's doing what he's doing. And of course, being like a unique synthetic that can actually empathize with different creatures, she understands and wants to help him. She even remarked how Tessa could easily be considered like a sister to her. Speaking of which, Tessa is revived from near destruction by the Callus, and is instructed to not only secure the callus for Weyland Yutani, but also neutralize the Yautja because they got. Because this is considered probably some point in the far future where Weyland Yutani is fully aware of the Yautja race and knowing how dangerous even one of them are. So Tessa takes a group of other synthetics and raid the fallen Predator ship and take some of his gear. Once Deck and Thea make it to the wreckage and find her legs, and she's, fixing herself up, is revealed that the reason Weyland Yutani is on this planet was to capture the Kalisk, and Deck wasn't having it because he wants that as his trophy. So he leaves feeling betrayed, but then the Kalisk shows up, and despite Deck's efforts, he cannot kill this thing. Even cutting off his head, it ends up reattaching. So it's just like he's stuck. The Kalisk has him pinned, but it stops from eating him because the little alien creature, the monkey creature that Thea dubbed Bud, spit it on him. So the Kalisk recognized Deck as one of her own. But then Tessa shows up, captures everybody, and it's revealed that, she's, just another robot, kind of like, got a directive. She starts experimenting on Deck despite Thea's protest. Thea helps Deck escape, and because of their journey, he learns about certain hostile creatures and plants that he utilized to make, armor and natural weapons. So he's going there and he starts annihilating these synthetics after he reactivated Thea's legs to, it's kind of like a homing beacon. It's just following where the other half is. And they take down this facility, but in like a decent Easter egg, Tessa is inside this same mech thing, this loader mech, straight from the Alien film that Ripley used to attack the Queen. They managed to, thanks with the help of Deck and the Kalisk, managed to take down Tessa. Seemingly she's defeated by being eaten, but she ends up utilizing grenades from Deck's ship to explode the thing from the inside out, because I guess that's the only way to completely destroy this thing. Deck manages to kill Tessa before she ends up killing Thea. And also realizing Bud is the child of the Kalisk. And there's a nice little parallels between how the relationship between Thea and Tessa is like the polar opposite of the relationship Deck and Kuwei had, where Kuwei was willing to sacrifice himself for the safety of his brother, while Tessa clearly did not give a F and was willing to annihilate her sister. So after some time went by, because Bud is like, grown very large, I guess he got to repair the ship and everything like that. So I guess that kind of took time, by using Weyland Yutani kind of tech to repurpose the thing so he can fly again. Comes back to Yautja Prime to face his father. Those Tessa's synthetics go to him and of course, his father's not impressed because he doesn't even know what the heck this thing is. But if you think about it, Tessa was the most dangerous prey on or apex predator on the planet, since she managed to kill the Callus, which was the most dangerous life form on the planet. Now she has become the most dangerous life form on the planet. So, ipso facto, taking her head, now he is. But the father doesn't see it that way, so he decides, like, I'm going to finish what your brother should have started. But learning from his brother's mistakes, he, disrupted his father's cloaking device by, initiating the engines of the ship to blow dust on him. And just like how the father kind of severed his son's arm, Deck does the same to his father, very poetic. Now his father kind of recognized him as like a strong warrior. And then and Deck says, I got my own clan. And Bud eats Deck's father's head. The movie ends with another ship arriving, and Deck says it's his mother. And that was Predator Badlands. And I think it's fine. It's definitely better, the Predator versus Alien films. It's definitely better than The Predator. But that's where I put it above those. Because I like it fine. However, my issue personally is they kind of took away the Predator's teeth in a way, because you're humanizing him, because I guess it has to be because he's like the main focus is who you're following. But it's kind of like, in my opinion, it's kind of like trying to sympathize Freddy Krueger because we're in his point of view. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, if it was me, not to rewrite the film, I would have. This whole buddy cop thing, I don't think it is necessarily needed. But if the Predator goes to make a hunt, if we're going through his point of view, he should be the main characters, and like some group of mercenaries who are all just evil. We don't care for them. There's no sympathetic person among the group. That we have no problem for the Predator to just annihilate them. And continuing with the rated R situation, butchering them, we actually would be cheering for the death of these horrible people. I would have gone that route personally, so that way we don't lose sight of how brutal the Predator can be. Wiping out these little robots, it's like, I don't know, I don't get that same rise as I did with the previous Predator films. And I think it's partially because they, hate to use the term, Disney-fied it and made it PG-13. And it's like, not saying it made it a terrible film. Like I said, it's still okay. But it's just like, you're taking away the edge of a creature that is essentially a slasher sci-fi villain that people are afraid to go up against. I don't know. That's just me. It's like I said, I don't hate it, but it's just like, I wouldn't have gone this route personally. And they utilize the whole animal sidekick effectively, so it's not just an Olaf wannabe or another minion. It's like, this animal serves a purpose to the overall narrative, so it isn't just there to sell a merchandise. But that's just my quick thoughts. I'm curious to know what you guys think. I will see you guys in a few days to have like a few more movie reviews for the month of November. I just wanted to pop in to talk about Badlands. Now that some time went by and people should have, because it's full spoilers. So, by this point, you guys should have seen it. So anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Badlands and what do you expect or hope to happen in the future for the Predator franchise. So anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.